Hello, hello, beautiful goddesses. Hello, and welcome to this week's holistic guidance, where you actually get some free coaching from me to help you become blissfully healthy and soulfully aligned during the midlife years. So I'm going to give everyone a minute to hop on. When you hop on, say hello so I can see you. And of course, if you're catching the replay, let me know as well that you are here on replay. And if you have any questions, just jot them down and I will circle back always. Now, for those of you that are not aware, while we're waiting for everyone to jump on, I send out these videos. So, and I know that Facebook is doing some different things and they might take some out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can save them and you'll have access to them, but make sure that you're on that list where I can direct you to those videos in case that they kind of get deleted out of the group. So if you're jumping on, say hello, Goddess Yen. It's nice to have you. Neda, how nice to have you here. Welcome. So we're just giving everyone a small moment to jump on, and we're just like getting the little bits and pieces out of the way while we give a moment for everyone to jump on. So while we're doing that, I just want to remind you what we are doing here in the holistic guidance. My mission is really to help you create physical and emotional well-being. And in that, we want to tie positivity with your mindset, right? A strong mindset. And we also want you to have a deep connection. So we really want to bring in spirituality. And our goal here is for you to feel calm in your being, right? To release any kind of anxiety, but to feel empowered and healthy and strong and excited and confident and aligned, not only in your body, but in your life as well. So that is what we do in the holistic guidance. And every week we pick a different subject and we go around there. So beautiful goddesses, if you're jumping on, say hello so I can actually see you. And for those of you who are new to me, I want to say welcome. I'm honored that you're here. My name is Isabelle, and I'm a certified naturopath, a light worker, a master practitioner of NLP and timeline therapy, and a holistic life coach. And I'm honored that you are here. And today, I'm very happy that we are going to talk about sleep. Now, we're not going to talk about all sorts of different ways because you can access that pretty much anywhere on the internet. But I wanted to hone down on one specific way to better your sleep. Now, tell me, who has occasionally, or sometimes more than occasionally, trouble with sleep? Right? So let me know if that is you. You can give me a thumbs up or you can say me in the comments. I want to know who sometimes struggles with sleep. I know that occasionally I do, although it is not really a struggle. I want to talk about one specific way that you can really tap into better sleep, and sometimes it's completely ignored. People will do the other things. They'll exercise and they'll drink a nice herbal tea or things like that, but they don't necessarily do this one specific thing. And I want to make sure that you have all of that information. And as you know, if you're not sleeping properly, this is going to bring on a whole slew of problems, right? Yes, thank you for those thumbs ups. Thank you for letting me know. So even if it's occasionally, we want to make sure that if you get into a mini rut, that you have some strategies in place. And of course, if it is something that is ongoing, then I definitely recommend that you reach out, because when we work one-on-one, we're going to take a deep dive and find out what the cause is, right? The symptom is not sleeping well, but what is the cause? And we want to make sure that when we address this cause, that it doesn't kind of spring up somewhere else in your life in some other way, right? Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to you. So some of the things that we struggle with when we're not getting enough sleep, and they might not be what you think automatically. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. So of course, if you're not sleeping, you're not going to have any energy, right? Your body's going to feel sluggish. But there's other things that are not so much fun around the midlife years, around the menopausal years, that could also give you symptoms that you're not enjoying one bit. For example, focus. It could be difficult for you to focus or to have thoughts that flow clearly. Some people call it brain fog. A lack of sleep can definitely cause that. You can also have irritability, and sometimes during the menopausal years, right, there's already all these symptoms. We don't want to aggravate it by a lack of sleeps, and a lack of patience, irritability are all signs of a lack of sleep, right? And it doesn't mean if you're getting 8 hours that you are sleeping well. What we want is for your body to rest and recuperate. Other symptoms, other things that can come up, weight gain. So for those of you who were not aware, sometimes when the body is too tired and it is not getting enough rest, there will be weight gain. Another one that is really not fun is hot flashes. Yep. A lack of sleep can definitely bring on some hot flashes for no reason. Not just the night sweats, right? I'm not talking about just the night sweats. I'm really talking about just you're sitting there and all of a sudden, all this hot, uncomfortable feeling will come up. And I have seen women get like flush red from the hot flashes. Now, of course, this definitely signals hormonal disturbance. And when there's a lack of sleep, that will also kick it in. So to counter all this, and I know, like personally, I don't have trouble falling asleep, right? I fall asleep like this, really, really, really easy. And I sleep really, really well. And I have never been a long time sleeper. So I have never needed like 8, 10, 12 hours of sleep. It's never been my gig. It's never been my thing. However, now my son is still fairly young, so there's other reasons. I kind of wake early. So early can be anywhere from 4:30 till 6:15, right? So most people will consider that early. I consider that early, even if I get up around those times. And sometimes it's simply because my body is done and ready for movement. And other times it's because this one factor was not really respected, this factor that I'm going to talk about. And when I do respect it, it absolutely brings in well-being, right? Are you getting excited to hear about this one factor? Let me see some thumbs ups and some hearts if you're feeling excited to hear about this factor. And, you know, there's a lot of information out there. Yes, right? Me too. Can't wait to share it with you. And definitely, there is a lot of information out there talking about the statistics of problems sleeping, right? It really came in with all the phones, all the tablets, this lifestyle where everybody is go all the time, so busy doing, and so much less being always like go, 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 go. It's not so easy to arrive at bedtime and then just go off. Not so easy, right? So today I want to talk about setting the right mood for sleep, right? We get in the mood for everything. We get in a mood to eat, right? So before we eat, we usually think about it. We taste it, right? We get saliva in our mouth, and we even produce specific enzymes that start digesting just the thought of something we're going to eat. We get in the mood for sex. We get in the mood for a hot bath. We get in the mood for exercise. But how many of you, and I want to see hands, right, or thumbs ups, or you can write I do, how many actually get in the mood for sleep? I never used to do that, ever. And it would always be like, oh, I didn't sleep well because of this. Oh, I didn't sleep well because of that. But setting the mood for sleep. So you set the mood, you step into the mood, you own the mood, and then you allow yourself to sleep. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to you all. So let's dive into it and what it really means to set the mood for sleep. Fantastic. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, yes. And by the way, some of you who had not watched the Chlorophyll Holistic Guidance sent notes to me asking what I was drinking, and it is the chlorophyll. It is chlorophyll, and you can hear all about it on the other holistic guidance that I was talking about, chlorophyll and why magnesium is so important for our bodies, not only our bones and muscles, but for our heart and for our gut as well. So I'll let you go see that. So back to this. So setting the mood is not just about getting into a hot bath or having a warm cup of tea. You know, those are other factors. There's a few things that we don't often talk about that I want to make sure, especially during the menopausal years, these are really important factors. So the big chunk here is setting the mood. And you're going to need to find out what makes it a good mood for you, right? So everybody has a different, criterias for it to be a good mood. But when you go into the sleep section of your day, we want to make sure that you're in the mood. You want to, you're excited about it. You can't wait. A little bit like everything else that you do, right? Does that make sense to you? Let me see some thumbs ups and some hearts just to make sure that you're following along and that resonates with you. And of course, if you have questions, just jot them down. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So the first thing that you want to make sure is in your room to set the right temperature. Right? It sounds silly, but here where I live, the temperature is always changing. It's not a steady temperature. We have 4 seasons and they are very distinct seasons. So in the wintertime, it can go as low as minus 30 degrees Celsius and even more. You know, I've been skiing even more, just 20 minutes away. And in the winter, it can easily go up to plus 30 degrees Celsius and even more. So that is huge, right? That is a huge scale. Now, when you sleep, especially during the menopausal years, and when I say menopausal years, I'm talking about perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, all that time, right? Your system is more, I'll just say sensitive to heat. So when you go to bed, sometimes you're like chilled a little bit and then you'll wrap up or you'll wear layers. And during the night, you're going to get hot. If you get just a little hot, you'll be fine. But if you get really hot, and I'm not talking about night sweats, that's a different topic. But if you get really hot, that could wake you up. And if you wake up during your, like outside of your cycle, your sleep cycle, then it could be difficult to go back to sleep, especially if you have a busy life and then the mind kicks in, right? The ego mind kicks in, then it could keep you up. So you want to make sure that you set the temperature a little bit cooler, right? You want to make sure that you don't have tons of covers on you and that you're wearing something appropriate that you feel comfortable, that you could wear all night long and be with covers that are comfortable all night long. And it will never be an issue of that being the cause of waking you up. Does that make sense? Right? That makes so much sense. Now, we have been talking about, you've heard, and sometimes we talk about, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. We know about food, right? We're not going to eat like a whole bunch of chocolate before bed, although, and that could be a topic for another holistic guidance. We want to make sure that we're not eating sugary snacks or anything that will provoke energy before bed. I'm also talking about like fast carbohydrates or pop or coffee or things like that. You want to make sure that you don't drink that before bed. And if you eat these things, not only can they provoke energy, so then you kind of miss your cycle, right? We call it the second wind, and then sleep becomes difficult, but you can also wake up feeling hungry. So instead of waking up later, you're going to wake up before your time because you're hungry. And it's not a real hunger, it's a false hunger because you're like off your normal eating cycle. Also something that we dive in one-on-one personal work, but that's also a different subject. So before bed, it's okay, not ideal, right? We don't want to eat or drink past 8, 9 o'clock p.m., all depending on what time we go to bed. So if you go to bed at 9, well, you don't stop eating just at 9, right? Maybe cut it down at 7 so your body has time to digest a little bit. This being said, setting the mood might mean a specific herbal tea or not, right? Or it has been proven, right? There's statistics out there that prove that eating a little bit of high protein snack can actually help you sleep throughout the night. Now, I'm not 100% on board with that for other gut and digestion and fasting factors, but all depending where you're at in your lifestyle, this could be something to look at, and it will set the mood. It will take care of you during your sleep cycle. But if you're needing to have a small high protein snack before bed, it's not something that you want to have ongoing, but it can help you find your rhythm, your sleeping rhythm once again, and then we would address what is the cause behind needing that snack. Does that make sense to you? Right? Perfect. Okay. Let's talk light. Now, a lot of people will tell you you need to have it dark in your room and all that. Perfect. Thank you for the feedback. It's true. And I'm going to tell you why, right? You have a gland in your head, and it's the pituitary gland. And this gland is like your, I'm awake gland, right? It is the gland that kind of regulates your sleep-awake cycle. Now, all depending where you live and the sunrise and the sunset, right? You don't control that, but you do control your body to some extent. So you want to go to bed, yes, in a dark room, but what's most important is the darkness in the morning. So if the sun is rising like at 4 in the morning and you're not ready to rise before 7, you need to trick your pituitary gland, right? Your pituitary gland, to let it think that this is still sleeping, right? So you're not tricking it, you're training it. And this is really important to set the right mood. It needs to be dark. Just like, right, when we want a romantic space, we don't have these like huge lights. We dim the lights, we light some candles, it sets the mood. This is the same thing. Think of your pituitary gland as your sleep partner, right? You want to make sure that you seduce it with low lights or no lights, and that you think about the further hours. So the hours like 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 o'clock in the morning, so you get sufficient sleep time. All right, you already know this part about setting the mood, but I'm going to re-say it because some people don't know. We know that setting music or some kind of white noise can absolutely be helpful, but there's a reason for it, and it can be meditation as well. So I am going to cut the heat there because I'm getting hot myself. What was I going with this? Oh, yes. So the music or the meditation sets the mood because it clears your mind, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have date night with your spouse or with a friend, and you arrive from work and you're like, still, your brain is still at work, and you arrive at this beautiful date, and your partner is excited to see you and spend time with you, and you arrive and you're like, you don't even make eye contact, and you're just blah 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 about work and why you're stressed out and all that. I can guarantee you that that is not going to kick off the date in a great way. You want to set the mood for sleep. You got to arrive for sleep in a calm and relaxed manner. So for some, it'll mean meditating or listening to the music before actually coming to bed. It might mean listening to white noise a little bit before you get to bed. You want to make sure that before you get to bed, you have already set the mood, and when you get there, you are in the mood for sleep, right? Is this making sense to you, right? It's a lot about you and a few tweaks here and there. And my last point, and this is important, thank you for sharing the feedback. I appreciate that. And this one is about, this point is specifically about, thank you, I appreciate that, precautions, right? So just think of this as like your date night, right? If you think about a date night and you want to get romantic with your partner, you're not going to just think about when you arrive or the evening itself, but you're also going to think of the end of the evening, right? So wink, wink. I can't wink, but pretend I can. You're going to think about the end product. What is your goal for the date night? Same thing here when you set the mood. And that means at the end of your sleep, so we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, right? What do you want for that part? You want to be ready. So, for example, you might bring in the room with you, you might bring some water. If you wake up because you feel dehydrated, that means you didn't drink enough during the day. So you want water beside you, because if you need to get up and go into the kitchen or the washroom to get some water and there's light out, remember what I said about the pituitary gland, what's going to happen there, right? So if you keep it near you, you can keep your eyes shut and just take a sip, rehydrate, and fall back asleep. Same thing for earplugs. If your thing is noise, have something that will block out the noise. Personally, I don't like the earplugs, but I have these big muff things, you know, that construction workers use. I have those, and it makes it hard to sleep on your side, so you have to sleep on your back, but it totally cuts out any noise and definitely will allow you to sleep a bit more. Maybe it's a mask, right? Maybe you're not in an area where you can actually have it stay dark at 5 or 6 in the morning. So maybe you need a mask. So if you wake up at 5 because there's so much light and your pituitary gland is like, I'm awake, baby, let's go. And you're like, no, it's still the middle of the night. You can just reach for the mask and put it on. So what I'm saying is, when you go to bed, setting the mood means before, it means during, and it also means at the end of your sleep date. Being prepared and bringing your things there so everything, the stage is set for the right mood of sleep, right? Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to you, or if you have any questions. I want you to jot them down. I'm just going to take a sip of water. And while I wait for that, for your questions, or let me know how you sleep. So let's rank it, okay? So let's rank it on a scale of 1 to 10. Nada says yes, right? I want you to rate presently how you're sleeping. So 1 being terrible sleep, no matter why, okay? So, and remember, there can be other factors. I'll address that in a second. But right now, or last night, or whenever, whatever time it is for you, for me it's morning, so that means I just got up like a few hours ago. Rate your last night's sleep, or how you usually sleep. 1 being terrible, 10 being absolutely amazing. Write it in the comments. I want to know how you're sleeping. And then I want you to try on one or several of these ideas about setting the mood for sleep. And I would love for you to circle back and let me know. So Nada says 9. That is awesome. Wonderful. And I'm curious, Nada, how old you are. Let me know if that's okay, if I can ask you. And I can tell you my age. I'm going to be 52 in June, so it's coming up. Let me know how old you are, because sometimes age is a factor. Not always, but sometimes. So if you're comfortable with that, Neda, let me know. If not, no worries. I'm sending you a heart. I am 56. I don't have my glasses. It's little, so I think it's 56. So I love that for you, Neda. So what you want then, it's a 9. It can become a 10, right? It can always be a little bit better. If you want, you can instill these things so it always stays that, right? No matter what's going on in your life, right? You want to keep that going. This is something that's wonderful. So it's a little bit like a garden, right? When you have that perfect time of year when the garden is just, you want to take a picture. This is what I want all the time. And then you want to feed it to keep it. And if ever you see, something is happening, then you have some tips and some ideas just to put it in there temporarily to keep it going. Good. I'm glad that's a good idea. Diane says between 8 and 9. Also fantastic. I love that. And you really know when you're sleeping well, when you wake up and you feel good. You feel rested. It doesn't matter. Like I was telling you, I am not a big sleeper. So if I compare just hours to most people, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm not sleeping at all. And that's not true. It depends on your body. It depends on your mind. It depends on who you are, right? You're like a snowflake. You're unique. That being said, there are things that we can do to tweak it. Now, sometimes we sleep really well, or we think we're sleeping really well because we've never slept differently. So maybe just keeping an open mind and adding those little bits and pieces that really resonate for you. For example, maybe you loved the idea of taking care of your pituitary gland. Remember, it's your hormonal system. So when one gland is doing really well, sometimes it will influence the other ones. Maybe that's the part that you enjoyed. Maybe the part that you enjoyed was bringing muffs to bed so you can sleep, go to bed later or earlier, and really put those on and get a great quality of sleep at that extra time that you've always wanted to have. Maybe you're sleeping lots of hours and want to sleep less. Maybe you're sleeping a little bit of hours and want to sleep more. So I would love to know what little bit, what little nugget you could take and use right now. And of course, if there are other factors, other reasons that you're not quite sleeping the way you want, most of the time for the midlife years, right? Most of the time it has to do with the hormonal system, but it does not, and please hear this, it does not mean that the hormonal system is the cause. We might think it's the cause, but there might be other underlying issues. Now, if you feel that you'd like to explore what's keeping you from sleeping really well, or hormonal issues or anything like that, then yeah, I would definitely invite you to book a call with me so we can chat about whatever is challenging you right now, so you can really find a good plan, great strategies, and bring in more happiness, more wellness, more strength, well, blissful health, right? Like just yummy, delicious health and so much soulful alignment, so that you know in your heart and your emotions and your mind that you are on track. So I encourage you to do that. If it resonates, it'll be my pleasure. It's free. It's a gift that I offer you with love and kindness. Now, if you have any questions about what we just talked about, you can jot them down in the comments. I will circle back after I'm done with this live presentation. And like I said, if you're not on my list, but you want to be, because you want to make sure that you have access to all the holistic guidances, and I do one every week on a different subject, then I guess I could put the link, I'll put the link on top of this video so it's easy access, and I'll put the link as well if ever you want to book a call to chat together and see, how we can get you clarity around what's challenging you right now. I'll put those up there so it's easy access for you. And I want to say a heartfelt thank you for taking time out with me and these other beautiful women in this sisterhood. I appreciate you. I am sending you lots of love, lots of blessing, wishing you a fantastic end of week. And I will see you all very soon. Bye for now.